12-year-old Lena Rivera vanished on a sunny Tuesday afternoon in April, and the town of Fairgrove trembled. The kind of tremble that crept into people's hands when they turned off the porch lights and double-locked the doors. Lena had left school like she always did, humming a song, scribbling a new story idea in her notebook, and kicking rocks as she walked the 2 blocks home. But this time, she didn't arrive. Police cars raced through neighborhoods. The local park was cordoned off. Helicopters cut wide circles in the sky, buzzing like angry bees. Volunteers printed flyers, stapled them to lampposts, and handed them to anyone who would look. Her mother, Diana, tearfully begged through the cameras, "Please, just bring my baby back. She's only 12. She hates milk and loves space books. Please." Everyone feared the worst, but Lena wasn't afraid. She was warm, fed, and, strangely, safe. Because her kidnapper wasn't what anyone expected. When Lena opened her eyes, she saw a ceiling made of wood, not cement or steel. Her shoes were off. Her favorite hoodie, dirty but intact, was folded beside her on a small wooden table. She sat up slowly. She was wrapped in a patchwork quilt and nestled into a plaid couch. Outside the windows, nothing but trees. Then, footsteps. A man entered the room with 2 steaming mugs. He was tall, silver-haired, and dressed in layers of old flannel. His eyes, soft, pale blue, were heavy with something between guilt and grief. "You're awake," he said, setting the mugs down. "I made cocoa." Lena drew back. "Who are you? What is this place?" "My name's Walter. This is my cabin. It's just outside Fairgrove." "You kidnapped me," she said. Walter didn't deny it. "Yes, I did, and I'm sorry. I know it's wrong." "Then why did you do it?" He paused. "Because someone had to." Walter didn't tie her up. He didn't lock any doors. He taught her how to cook pancakes from scratch, how to light a fire, how to patch a rip in her jeans. He never raised his voice. Never touched her without permission. When she asked to be left alone, he gave her space. He brought her books. A stack of old science fiction paperbacks, their corners worn from use. "I know this doesn't make sense," he said one night as they sat on the porch, watching the stars, "but I didn't take you to hurt you. I saw you limping after school. I heard you telling your friend you didn't want to go home. And, I guess I saw a bit of myself in you. I thought, maybe I could help. You were watching me." "I know. It sounds awful." "It is awful," Lena said. But quietly, she added, "Home isn't great." Walter nodded. "I figured." Lena wasn't lying. Her stepfather, Rick, was a loud man. Loud fists, loud voice, loud everything. Her mother tried. Some days she really did, but mostly she drowned in pills and silence. Lena had spent nights hiding in closets, her knees pressed to her chest, waiting for Rick to pass out on the couch. School was her only escape. Books were her sanctuary. Sometimes, she whispered to Walter, "I wish I could disappear." "I know the feeling," he said. "I've wished that for most of my life." On the 4th morning, Lena found the truck keys. She slid them into her hoodie pocket, heart pounding. When Walter stepped out to chop firewood, she crept into the garage. The truck smelled like gasoline and pine needles. She turned the key. The engine choked once, then roared to life. She could go. She could drive until she hit the highway. Run. But she didn't. She turned the key back, sat in silence, and cried. Walter found her there. He said nothing, just opened the passenger door and sat beside her. After a while, she whispered, "I don't know what's wrong with me." "Nothing's wrong with you," he said. "You're just scared. That's not weakness. That's being human." Over the next few days, Walter told her more about himself. How he had worked in social services for 20 years. How he'd fought to keep kids in safe homes and seen too many fall through the cracks. "I wasn't supposed to get involved," he said. "But then there was this one girl, 8 years old. Told her teacher she was scared to go home. The system failed her. 3 weeks later, she was gone." He looked down. "I left after that." Lena didn't know what to say. So she said the truth. "I think you made a terrible choice. But I don't hate you." Walter wiped his eyes. "That means more than you know." The radio was their only contact with the outside world. Every night, Walter would tune in to catch the updates. Lena's disappearance had made national headlines. A detective from the city had been brought in. Rick had been interrogated. Her mother had gone on a local morning show, wearing the same sweatshirt for 3 days straight. "I think she really does love me," Lena murmured one night. I'm sure she does, Walter said. But love isn't always enough to protect someone. I want to go back, Lena said. Eventually. He nodded. And when you do, I'll make sure it's safe. On the 7th morning, Walter packed her a small bag, some snacks, clean clothes, and a note she could give the police. They agreed she'd say she got lost on a hike and that a kind stranger helped her find her way. She didn't want him arrested. Not yet. Not like that. They drove at dawn to a gas station near the edge of town. In the silence, Walter handed her a folded piece of paper. You don't have to read it now. Will I see you again? He smiled sadly. Probably not. I don't think you're a bad person, she whispered. And I don't think you're a lost cause. They hugged. Just once, just long enough. Lena's return shocked the town. Cameras snapped her photo as she stepped into the police station. She repeated the story they agreed upon. Her mother sobbed, collapsed into her arms. Rick was nowhere to be found. But the guilt weighed on her. 3 weeks passed, and then she told the truth. Not to everyone. Just the police. Just a therapist. Walter was arrested the next day. Peacefully. Quietly. Lena cried harder than she had all month. The trial gripped the country. The media dubbed him the kind kidnapper. Child psychologists debated the ethics. Experts on trauma analyzed Lena's behavior. Half the public called Walter a danger. The other half called him a flawed hero. Lena testified. Calm, clear, brave. I don't think what he did was right, she said. But it helped me. It made me feel like someone cared enough to see me. That mattered. In the end, the judge sentenced Walter to 1 year of house arrest, with court-ordered therapy and permanent removal from any work with minors. Some thought it was too lenient. Lena thought it was fair. Lena grew. She healed. She worked hard in school and started speaking at youth shelters. Her home life improved. Her mother left Rick for good and went to rehab. They weren't perfect, but they were trying. At 16, Lena wrote her story in a book titled The Kind Kidnapper. It was raw, honest, and complicated. A blend of fact and feeling. The book became a quiet bestseller. Walter read it in one sitting. On her 18th birthday, Lena drove back to the woods. Walter answered the door, older, thinner, but still kind-eyed. I wasn't sure if you'd come, he said. I had to, Lena replied. They sat together on the porch, just like they used to. The forest whispered around them. I didn't know how much I needed that week, she said. Not the being taken part, but the being seen. I didn't know how much I needed someone to forgive me, he said. Not legally, just human to human. They talked until the stars came out. Then she stood, hugged him tightly, and said, Goodbye, Walter. He watched her go, smiling through tears. Years later, Lena would give a TED Talk on the humanity in our mistakes. She never excused Walter's actions. But she told the world what it meant to be broken and still worthy of love. All monsters aren't born evil, she said. Sometimes they're just people who made one desperate decision. And sometimes, the people who save us are the ones the world fears. And somewhere, in a small wooden cabin in the woods, Walter smiled as he watched her speak, knowing he'd done the wrong thing, but maybe, somehow, for the right reasons. The end.